Chrissie Mayr interviewed Stuttering John Melendez. The first thing I noticed is how puffy John's face is. He looks like Dizzy Gillespie had a stroke. Since The Tonight Show, John's full-time job is shitting all over the man who gave him everything good in his life. Yeah, I know Red Nose is trying to make a career out of hating on successful people, but at least it's different people and he has no relationship with them. John, on the other hand, is consumed with Howard Stern. Out of the gate, he insults Chrissie Mayr's setup by asking if she's broadcasting from her closet.
John Melendez, how are you?
Hello, Chrissy. How are you?
This is great. I'm so happy we could make it work. You were hanging out a window before, and now I can hear you. You're
Are you in a closet?
Meanwhile, in the background of John's set, one of his tent-sized t-shirts is hanging on the door, and there's boxes stacked all around him. The lights are turned off, and it's just kind of sad. If you were creating a movie set and wanted to portray a pitiful and broken bachelor whose wife took all his money, this is what it would look like. He should do a public service announcement. Hi, I'm Stuttering John, and I was one of the luckiest people on the planet. I worked on the biggest radio show of all time and one of the biggest late night talk shows of all time. Now I'm one step away from living in one of the boxes you see behind me. Don't get married. How can someone who calls himself a professional podcaster have a shittier set than I do? I have less than 500 subscribers, haven't paid September's rent, and my set is 10 times more professional than John's. The point is, how does he have the gall to goof on Chrissie Mayr's set, especially when she was nice enough to introduce him as a personality, writer, and announcer? And she did it all with a straight face. And not only did he do the interview surrounded by moving boxes, his setup is so lame that his face ended up freezing 10 minutes into the broadcast. And it stays that way the entire time. And not that it matters since everyone's looking at Chrissy anyway. Chrissy asks John when, in his opinion, the Howard Stern show jumped the shark. And this is his witty response.
But in your opinion, when do you think Howard sort of like jumped the shark or kind of changed, his
Well,
brand?
the obvious answer is when I left. Look, Howard has the thinnest skin, He's much like our president. I mean, Howard has really thin skin, and because Opie and Anthony would goof on him, it would really bother him because, Howard's in other words, Howard's he can goof on anybody he wants, but when he gets goofed on, oh.
John says that Howard Stern has thin skin, but this isn't news. Howard has said as much several times on his show. For years he's been saying that. However, if Howard's skin is thin, John's is non-existent. Here he is crying about his boss not being in a music video nobody remembers.
Remember, I asked Howard to do an MTV video, and he said, no, John, no, because I might be doing something with MTV. I had Sting in my video. I had Gene Simmons in my video.
Wow.
And my own boss, my friend, won't do it. I mean, just think about it. Just let that sink in for a second. My own boss, Howard Stern, would not do my MTV video. Why? Because he said, well, I might be doing something with MTV. How ridiculous.
And here he is bitching about Howard not going to his wedding. Howard probably didn't go because he knew how it was going to end.
Just like it always did. Howard never came to my wedding either. It was just the same, always the same, Look, much like Donald Trump, Howard's about Howard. And that's my opinion, of course, but Howard's about Howard. And that's it.
Chrissy asks John about prank calling Donald Trump. He responds by making fun of her for being professional.
Somewhat recently, pranked Trump. This was 2 years ago. You were able to get through to him on the phone while he was on Air Force One. Can you tell me about, for people who have not heard of that, like kind of what your inspiration was or what you wanted to get out of that?
I love you, Chrissy. I love how you're reading all your questions on the page.
Well, I don't want to forget them. I
No,
have
I
loose
love it.
notes. I have loose notes. I have ideas. You know what I mean?
Are you living in Manhattan?
No, I live in Westchester.
Oh, okay.
I rent. And I'm drinking
You're a
white
dog.
wine. Trying.
No, I know. It's all good. It's all good.
Your Zoom has been frozen.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
That's right. On top of laughing at her for being prepared, he then condescendingly calls her adorable, like she's a child pretending to do a podcast. Through all of this, she remains super professional, but, does zing him at one point by letting him know he's been frozen the entire time. They go back to talking about the prank call to Donald Trump, and he reveals that the idea came about because he got stood up by his podcast guest, Chrissie Armstrong. Yeah, that's right. John's podcast is so lame, Chrissie Armstrong stood him up.
Do you feel like your prank should have gotten a bigger reaction? More attention?
Okay, we'll get back to the prank. It's an odd experience because the only reason that we called the White House was because Chrissie Armstrong, who was booked on my show, my old colleague at the Stern Show, said he was too busy.
He then goes on a long, meandering story about making the call. You'd think prank calling the President of the United States would be big news. It would have been, but the call sucked so much, nobody cared. That's what happens when you don't have, Jackie and Fred writing your material for you. After more than 10 minutes of suffering through his story about the prank phone call, they get into talking about Trump and the upcoming election. During the entire interview, John just continues to be super condescending. Here he implies Chrissy is not allowed to express her true opinions because of who she works for. As a result, she verbally bitch slaps him. He sheepishly backs down and then plugs her show for her.
Interesting stuff, though. I mean, I don't think he's a perfect guy. I don't think he's a perfect president. I wouldn't say I love the guy. I wouldn't say he's any worse than other. You know what I mean? Like I don't think Obama was much better. It's not up to me. It's up to what is the country.
I get that you're on the Anthony Comey network, and he's a right-wing guy, so you don't want to
No, I'm allowed to have different opinions from the people I work with. If anything, honestly, I'm probably more libertarian, but I'm still a registered Democrat. Not like any of this really is any of your business, but I wouldn't say I'm afraid to have a different point of view than the people I work with. And not everybody on Compound Media is Republican, so I don't think it's a fair stereotype.
No, I was just asking. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just saying, I could understand why that would, be something that you are not allowed to. I mean, who knows? I don't know.
Not allowed to have it. That's insane. Why would No, Anthony's super cool. He doesn't care what anybody believes politically. It's just he cares about quality content and are people watching. And
oh, cool.
I think my show is third or fourth most popular on the network, so I guess it's doing okay.
But the show's the Wet Spot, right?
Yes, yeah. Every Monday, 7:30 p.m. EST.
Continuing to maintain her professionalism, she plows ahead with another question, and John gets pissed because it's about Trump. Remember when John said Howard Stern has thin skin? Look at how he reacts to an apology.
Do you think that Trump has been good for comedy?
Is this whole interview going to be about Trump, or?
If you really don't want to talk about it, I just figured.
I
thought you had done. I thought you had dabbled occasionally in stand-up, so that's why I brought that up.
I dabbled occasionally, really.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was a thing you were really doing or not, and I wasn't sure.
Oh, no. I've been doing stand-up for 20 years. I don't dabble.
Okay. Okay, that's good.
Only a super insecure person would react that way. When you're a professional, what you do is just your job. It doesn't define who you are as a person. However, if you're a wannabe, someone implying that you're merely a hobbyist is enraging. The truth is, John's whole life is dabbling. He isn't excellent at anything except failing upward. Chrissie tries to move past it, but after a minute or two, John brings it back up.
But you know what, Chrissy, to say I dabbled in stand-up is so disrespectful. I haven't been disrespectful to you at all. And yet you disrespect me and say I dabbled.
I mean, I could have picked a different word. I didn't know that it was your main thing, honestly.
I dabbled in stand-up. Okay. I mean that's so disrespectful, and I'm doing your show.
I honestly, I don't know the extent to which you do stand up. I mean, isn't that the point of an interview? Is like, oh, you can correct me if I'm wrong about something.
No. You dabbled in stand up when?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't know. I don't know how much stand up you do, John. It was just an honest thing.
Places all over, and you say I dabbled in stand up. Come on.
So you're more than a dabbler. That's fine. It's okay. I've been wrong. It's fine. It's really not a big deal, you know? You probably didn't know that I did stand up. It's okay. It's, you know, we're not like, that's what an interview is. You learn more about the other person, so.
Well, you seem to be pretty schooled in everything else, so you would think that you've seen that I've been doing stand up for, you know.
Well, thank you. I wanted to prepare, so I feel like, you know, but I don't know all there is to know about Stuttering John, so hence the interview. So I guess, all right, so you don't want to talk about Trump anymore.
At this point, she's running out of things to ask him and running out of wine. And really, who could blame her? I'd been doing shots of whiskey at this point. The very best part of the whole interview is when Chrissie shows how much funnier and wittier she is than John.
As a comedian, you know, you're a comedian, right?
Yes, I dabble.
He says he doesn't do any politics in his act. Yeah, no politics, no jokes, no laughs. He says he doesn't do political humor because he doesn't want to alienate half the audience. Trust me, I'm sure his audiences are completely united at the end of all of his shows, right when they're asking for a refund.
I will tell you that I don't do any politics in my act at all, because I think it, you know, you can't win that way. You know, you're going to alienate half your audience.
Now, why is he worried about alienating people when he's famous for being on the most controversial radio show of all time? He's bitching about Howard Stern for selling out and going Hollywood. Meanwhile, nobody's talking about the super edgy Stuttering John podcast. You know, by the end of the interview, things were so bad, he starts asking her about commuting.
Well, that's cool. And, you know, but you don't live in Manhattan. So, you know, is that a long commute?
No, it's not bad. I mean, I've always commuted from somewhere. Like, I'm from Long Island. I lived in Brooklyn at one point, and then Astoria, Queens, and then now Westchester. So it's like I've always had
Long Island?
Rockville Center.
I always remember coming back from NYU and, you know, just, you know, taking the train, Rockville Center, next stop, Rockville Center. And then, you know, you're almost home.
To top it all off, he asks her on a date and calls her sweetie.
Listen, if you ever happen to visit LA, you know, we'll go out and, you know, I'll take you out for drinks. And I'm not hitting on you, but we'll, you know, hang out and discuss the, I'm sorry that I get very passionate when it comes to like politics, because my politics is, I mean, my podcast is for the most part it's all political. Like I did one today. Okay. So anyway, are we done?
We're done. We are done. What a graceful dismount. John, thank you so much for coming on the pod.
Oh, no problem. I just want to watch whatever is left of the NFL. This is their opener tonight.
Oh, yeah. Enjoy.
All right, sweetie.
All right, thanks,
I'll see
John.
you.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, John, everybody is way more than done with this interview. Now, for those of you watching my video, do me a favor, subscribe to my channel, hit the like button. Don't forget to click on the little notification bell. If you'd like access to exclusive content and want to learn easy bar bets and magic tricks, go to zachwaldman.com/fans. That's zachwaldman.com/fans. And as always, you know I mean it when I say it. I love each and every one of you more than chocolate cake.
Hey there! Don't forget to subscribe to Madcast shows on iTunes, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast app. Okay, bye!
Madcast Media Network.